Hare Krishna. So thank you everyone. Hare Krishna. So we are reading Chaitanya Caritamrita every morning. Today is third day and third chapter. So first day we studied Chaitanya Caritamrita Adi Lila, chapter 8, where we learned how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami got permission and order from the Vaishnavas and Acharyas and ultimately Madan Mohan, and also about mention of Luchan Das Thakur and Chaitanya Mangal, Vrindavan Das Thakur, Chaitanya Bhagavat, and detailed about the three different books, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's biography, Chaitanya Mangal, Chaitanya Bhagavat, and Chaitanya Charitamrit by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And then in the ninth chapter, we studied and learned the desired tree of devotional service, Kalpa Vriksha, or Bhakti ka Vriksha, Chaitanya Vriksha. And Chaitanya वृक्ष में महाप्रभु वास्तविक रूप में क्या देने आए हैं और महाप्रभु क्या चाहते हैं हमसे. एकला मालाकार আমি कहाँ कहाँ जाबो, एकलावा premful kato bilaiva. So Mahaprabhu wanted us to participate in his movement and everyone distribute these nectarian fruits, the delicious, sweet, ripened fruits of Krishna Bhakti, the devotional service. And today, in its chapter 10, we will read and study the trunk, branches, and sub branches of the Chaitanya tree. So, ये जो चैतन्य वृक्ष हैं महाप्रभु के दिए गए हैं संकीर्तन मूवमेंट, उसमें अलग अलग शाखाएं, प्रशाखाएं और भक्ति के रूट के बारे में हम जानेंगे. So this chapter describes the branches of the tree named Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Padambujo Madhupebhyo Namo Namaha Katanchidadashrayat Jesham Swapi Tadgandha Bhagavate. Let me repeatedly offer my respectful obeisances unto the V-like devotee who always tastes the honey of the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If even a doggish non-devotee somehow takes shelter of such devotees, he enjoys the aroma of the lotus flower. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Jatvatandra, Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. So before that, Srila Prabhupada explained about the devotee. The example of a dog is very significant in this connection. A dog naturally does not become a devotee at any time. But still, it is sometimes found that a dog of a devotee gradually becomes a devotee also. We have actually seen that a dog has no respect even for the tulsi plant. Indeed, a dog is especially inclined to pass urine on the tulsi plant. Therefore, the dog is the number one non-devotee. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement is so strong that even a dog-like non-devotee can gradually become a devotee by the association of a devotee of Lord Chaitanya. Srila Shivananda Sen, a great householder devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, attracted a dog on the street while going to Jagannath Puri. The dog began to follow him and ultimately went to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and was liberated. Similarly, cats and dogs in the household of Srivas Thakur were so liberated. Cats and dogs and other animals are not expected to become devotee, but in the association of a pure devotee, they are also delivered. Srila Prabhupada is explaining about the glories of pure devotee, about the association, importance of association. If we associate and have company of the exalted devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Vaishnava, then even our mindset is like cats and dogs, and in the grounded mind, still we will be a very good devotee only because of the association. এই মালির এই বৃক্ষের অকথ্য কথন এবে শোনা মুখ্য শাখার নাম বিবরণ. Now the description of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the gardener and the tree is inconceivable. Now hear with attention about the branches of this tree. ये चैतन्य वृक्ष के बारे में डिटेल में बताने वाले हैं कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी. तो हमें सबको अटेंशन के साथ मनयोग के साथ सुनना है. चैतन्य गुसाई जतो पारिषद छय गुरु लघु भाव तारना है निश्चय. The association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are many, but none of them should be considered lower or higher. This cannot be ascertained. तो महाप्रभु के जितने सारे संग पार्षद है सबका परिचय डिटेल में देना मुश्किल है, but this cannot be ascertained. चैतन्य गुसाई जतो परिषद छय गुरु लघु भाव तारना है निश्चय. যত যত মহান্ত কৈলা তাসবার গণন কেহ করিবারে না রে জ্যেষ্ঠ লঘু ক্রম. So all the great personalities in the line of Chaitanya enumerated these devotees, but they could not distinguish between the greater and lesser. অতএব তাসবারে করি নমস্কার নাম মাত্র দোষ না লোভে আমার. That's why Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami offer obeisances unto everyone. I request them not to consider my offenses. Bande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prema Mara Taro Priyan Shaka Rupan Bhaktagan Krishna Fema Phalapradan. I offer my obeisances to all the dear devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the eternal tree of love of Godhead. I offer my respects to all branches of the tree, the devotees of the Lord who distribute the fruit of love of Krishna. Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami sets the example of offering obeisances to all the preacher devotees of Lord Chaitanya without distinction as to higher and lower. Unfortunately, at present, there are many foolish so-called devotees of Lord Chaitanya who make such distinction. For example, title Prabhupada is offered to a spiritual master, especially to a distinguished spiritual master such as Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada, or Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. When our disciples similarly wanted to address their spiritual master as Prabhupada, some foolish people became envious, not considering the propaganda work of the Hare Krishna movement. Simply because this disciple addressed their spiritual master as Prabhupada, they became so envious that they found a fraction along with other such envious persons just to minimize the value of Krishna consciousness movement. To chastise such fools, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami very frankly says, Keho karive nare jeshta lagu karma kram. Anyone who is a bona fide preacher of the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must be respectful to the real devotees of Lord Chaitanya. One should not be envious considering one preacher to be very great and another to be very lowly. This is material distinction and has no place on the platform of spiritual activities. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami therefore offers equal respect to all the preachers of the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who are compared to the branches of tree. ISKCON is one of these branches, and it should therefore be respectful by all sincere devotees to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, श्रीला प्रभुपाद यहाँ पर प्रभुपाद टाइटल के बारे में बता रहे हैं कि किस प्रकार हरे कृष्ण मूवमेंट के फाउंडर आचार्य होने के नाते श्रीला प्रभुपाद के शिष्य लोग श्रीला प्रभुपाद को प्रभुपाद के संबोधन करते हैं. तो बाहर मतलब those who are not able to know about the Srila Prabhupada, they became very jealous. And generally Prabhupada is offered to a spiritual master, especially to a distinguished spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada is definitely a distinguished spiritual master. He is the only one who fulfilled the prediction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prithivite Achijata Nagaradigram, Sarvatra Prachar Haive Marnam. So is the Goswami, Srila Prabhupada is extremely powerful Goswami. That's why he made his disciples the entire world. We can see that Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Upadeshamrita in the first verse, Vacha Vegam Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jihva Vegam Udarupastha Vegam, Etan Veganja Vishayet Dhiro, Sarvam Apimam Prativim Shashvat. So only a great Goswami can control his all the senses and he can make his disciples to the all over the world. Srila Prabhupada is the perfect example for that. And Srila Prabhupada is Prabhupada. श्रीवास पंडित आर श्री राम पंडित दुई भाई दुई शाखा जगदे विदित. The two brothers Srivas Pandit and Sri Ram Pandit started two branches that are well known in the world. In the Gaur Ganadhesh Deepika, Srivas Pandit is described as an incarnation of Narad Muni, and Sri Rama Pandit, his younger brother, it is said to be the incarnation of Parvat Muni, a great friend of Naradas. So Narad Muni and Parvat Muni are very prominent, famous to saints and to rishis. And in the Kali Yuga, they came as Srivas Thakur and Srivas Thakur's younger brother Sri Ram Thakur, Srivas Pandit and Rama Pandit. Srivas Pandit's wife Malini is celebrated as an incarnation of Nurse Ambika, who fed Lord Krishna with her breast milk. And as already noted, his niece Narayani, the mother of Thakur Vrindavan Das, the author of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, was the sister of Ambika in Krishna Lila. We also understand from the descriptions of Chaitanya Bhagavat that after Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's acceptance of the sannyas order, Srivas Pandit left Navadvip, possibly because of feelings of separation and domicile at Kumarahatta. Sripati Srinidhi Tar Dui Shahadar Chari Bair Dash Dashi Griha Parakar. The two brothers were named Sripati and Srinidhi. These four brothers and their servants and maid servants are considered as and one branch. So Srivas Pandit, Sri Rama Pandit, Sripati, Srinidhi. So these four brothers. Charivair Das Dashi Griha Parikar, and their servants and maid servants was considered one maid big branch. Duishaka Rupashakaya Tashavarganan Jar Grihe Mahaprabhur Sada Samkirtan. So there is no counting the sub branches of these two branches. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu held congregational chanting daily at the house of Srivas Pandit. Charibai Shobhangshe Kare Chaitanya Shiva Gaurachandra Vinanahi Jane Devi Deva. These four brothers and their family members fully engaged in the service of Lord Chaitanya. They know no other god or goddess. Completely surrendered and completely dedicated to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So there is a purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has said, Anya Devasrayanai, Anya Devasrayanai, Tomare Kahino Vai, Ei Bhakti Parama Karana. If one wants to become a pure, strong devotee, one should not take shelter of any of the demigods or goddess. Foolish Mayavadis say that worshipping demigods is as good as worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But that is not a fact. This philosophy misleads people to atheism. One who has no idea what God actually is thinks that any form he imagines or any rascal he accepts can be God. This acceptance of cheap gods of incarnation of God is actually atheism. It is to be concluded, therefore, that those who worship demigods or self-proclaimed incarnation of God are all atheists. They have lost their knowledge as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Kamaishtaiste aparhito jnana prapadyanti anya devata. Acharya Ratnanam Dare Bada Yak Shaka Tar Parikar Tar Shaka Upashaka. So another big branch was Acharya Ratna and his associates were sub branches. Acharya Ratner Nam Sri Chandrasekhar Jar Gare Devi Babe Nachila Ishwar. So Acharya Ratna was also named Sri Chandrasekhar Acharya. In a drama in his house, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu played a goddess of fortune. So dramatic performances were enacted during the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the players who took part in such dramas were all pure devotees. No outside were allowed. The member of ISKCON should follow this example. Whenever they stage dramatic performance about the lives of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Lord Sri Krishna, the players must be pure devotees. Professional players and dramatic actors have no sense of devotional service. And therefore, although they can perform very artistically, there is no life in such performances. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to refer to such an actor as Yatra Dale Narada, which means partial Narad. Sometimes an actor in a drama plays the part of Narad Muni, although in his private life he is not at all like Narad Muni, because he is not a devotee. Such actors are not needed in dramatic performances about lives of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Krishna. Pundarik Vidyanidhi Bada Shakha Jani Jar Nam Laya Prabhu Kandila Apani. Pundarik Vidyanidhi, the third big branch, was so dear to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that in his absence Lord Chaitanya himself would sometimes cry. There is another devotee is Pundarik Vidyanidhi. And in the Gaur Ganadhas Deepika, Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi is described as the father of Srimati Radharani in Krishna Lila. So Pundarik Vidyanidhi came in Kali Yuga as Pundarik Vidyanidhi, but before in Vrindavan Lila, in Dwapar Lila, he was the father of Srimati Radharani. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore treated him as his father. Okay. Pundarik Vidyanidhi's father was known as Baneshwar, or according to another opinion, Shuklambar Brahmachari. And his mother's name was Ganga Devi. According to one opinion, Baneshwar was a descendant of Sri Shibram Gangopadhyay. The original home of Pundarik Vidyanidhi was in East Bengal, now Bangladesh, in a village near Dhaka named Bagia, which belonged to the Barendra group, Brahman families. Sometimes these Barendra Brahmanas were at odds with another group known as Radhiya Brahmans. As therefore, Pundarik Vidyanidhi's family was ostracized and at that time was not living as a respectable family. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, one of the members of his family is living in Vrindavan and is named Shorojananda Goswami. One special characteristics of this family is that each of its members had only one son or one son at all, no son at all, and therefore the family was not very expensive. There is a place in the district of Chittagram in East Bengal that is known as Hathazari, and a short distance from this place is a very known village known Mekhala Gram, in which Pundarik Vidyanidhi's four brothers lived. One can approach Mekhala Gram from Chittagram either or horseback, by bullock cart or by steamer. ये तब की बात है, अभी तो गाड़ी होती होगी. So वहाँ पर the steamer station is known as Annapurna Ghat. The birthplace of Pundarik Vidyanidhi is about 2 miles southwest of Annapurna Ghat. The temple constructed there by Pundarik Vidyanidhi is now very old and much in need of repair. Without repair, the temple may soon crumble. There are two inscriptions on the bricks of that temple, but they are so old that one cannot read them. There is another temple, however, about 200 years south of this one, and some people say that this is the old temple constructed by Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called Pundarik Vidyanidhi's father, and he gave him the title Premanidhi Pundarik Vidyanidhi, later became the spiritual master of Gadadhar Pandit and an intimate friend of Swarup Damodar. Gadadhar Pandit at first misunderstood Pundarik Vidyanidhi to be an ordinary pounds and shillings mean one, but later, upon being corrected by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became his disciple. Another incident in his life of Pundarik Vidyanidhi involves he criticizing the priest of Jagannath temple, for which Jagannath Prabhu chastised him personally by slapping his checks. So this is the learning. Pundarik Vidyanidhi criticized the pujaris of Jagannath temple, the Jagannath Puri, and Jagannath slapped him. Because दिमाग नहीं लगाना है वहाँ पर, तो हमें भी नहीं दिमाग लगाना है पूरी के बारे में. This is described in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Antya Kanda, chapter 7. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur informs us that during his time, there were still two living descendants of the family of Pundarik Vidyanidhi, who were named as Sri Harakumar Smriti Tirtha and Sri Krishna Kinkara Vidyalankar. For further information, one should refer to the dictionary known as Vaishnava Manjusha. So, Vaishnav Manjusa हमारे पास है यहाँ पर भक्ति वेदांत रिसर्च सेंटर में है. तो 4 कॉपी थी, वो भक्ति वैदिक सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर ने पब्लिश किया. वी हैव दैट 4 कॉपीज हियर एंड लेटर वी एक्सपेंडेड इट vaishnav-avidan.org. बड़ो शाखा गदाधर पंडित गुसाई ते हो लक्ष्मी रूपातार शमो के हो नाई. Gadadhar Pandit, the 4th branch, is described as an incarnation of the pleasure potency of Sri Krishna. No one therefore can equal him. तार एक शिष्य उपशिष्य तार उपशाखा यही मत सब शाखा उपशाखार लेखा. His disciple and grand disciples are his sub branches. To describe them all would be difficult. बक्रेश्वर पंडित प्रभुर बड़ो प्रिय वृत्त एक बाबे 26 प्रहर जार नित्य. Vakreshwar Pandit, the 5th branch of the tree, was a very dear servant of Lord Chaitanya's. He could dance with constant ecstasy for 72 hours. Vakreshwar Prabhu could dance constant ecstasy for 72 hours, non-stop. In the Gaur Ganadhesh Deepika, it is stated that Vakreshwar Pandit was an incarnation of Aniruddha, one of the quadruple expansions of Vishnu, Vasudeva, Samkarshan, Aniruddha and Pradyumna. He could dance wonderfully for 72 continuous hours. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu played in dramatic performances in the house of Srivas Pandit, Vakreshwar Pandit was one of the chief dancers, and he danced continuously for that length of time. Sri Govinda Das, an Odia devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has described the life of Vakreshwar Pandit in his book Gaura Krishna Dai. There are many disciples of Vakreshwar Pandit in Odisha, and they are known as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, although they are Odiyas. Among these disciples are Sri Gopal Guru and his disciple Sri Dhyana Chandra Goswami. This is the line of Vakreshwar Pandit. अपने महाप्रभु गाय जार नित्य काले प्रभुर चरंदरी बक्रेश्वर बले. Mahaprabhu personally sang while Vakreshwar Pandit danced, and thus Vakreshwar Pandit fell at the lotus feet of Lord and spoke as follows: Dashahasra Gandharva More Deho Chandramukh Tara Gai Muina Cha Tabe Mor Shok. Ki O Chandramukh is telling to Mahaprabhu, give me 10,000 Gandharvas, Let them sing as I dance, and then I will be greatly happy. The Gandharvas, who are residents of Gandharvaluka, are celebrated as celestial singers. Whenever singing is needed in the celestial planets, the Gandharvas are invited to sing. The Gandharvas can sing continuously for days, and therefore Bakrashar Pandit wanted to dance as they sang. So Bakrashar Prabhu is famous dancer. প্রভু বলে তুমি মর পক্ষ এক শাখা আকাশে উঠতেম যদি পাং আর পাকা পাই আর পাকা. That Chaitanya replied, I have only one wing like you, but if I had another, certainly I would fly in the sky. पंडित जगदानंद प्रभुर प्राण रूप लोके ख्यातो जे हो सत्यभामार स्वरूप. Pandit Jagadananda, the sixth branches of Chaitanya tree, was celebrated at the life and soul of the Lord. He is known to have been an incarnation of Satyabhama, one of the chief queens of Lord Krishna. There are many dealings of Jagadananda Pandit with Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Most importantly, he was the Lord's constant companion and especially took part in all the pastimes of the Lord in the house of Srivash Pandit and Chandrasekharacharya. कृत्य करिते चाहे प्रभुर लालन पालन वैराग्य लोक भये प्रभु नामाने कथन. Jagadananda Pandit, as an incarnation of Satyabhama, always wanted to see to the comfort of Lord Chaitanya. But since the Lord was a sannyasi, he did not accept the luxuries that Jagadananda Pandit offered. दुई जने खटमटी लगाए कुंदल तार प्रत्येर कथा आगे कही शकल. So they sometimes appear to fight over trifles, but these quarrels were based on their affection, of which I shall speak later. Raghav Pandit Prabhu Radha Anuchar Tar ek shaka mukka makardaj kar. Raghav Pandit, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's original follower, is understood to have been the seventh branch. From him proceeded another sub-branch headed by Makaradhvaj Kar. Kar was the surname of Makaradhvaj. At present, this surname is generally found in the Kayastha community. The Gauraganadhash-Deepika states, Danishta Vakshya Samagrim Krishnaya Dvrajamitam Shaiva Sampratam Gauranga Priya Raghava Panditaha. Raghav Pandit was formerly a confidential gopi in Braja during the time of Lord Krishna's pastimes, and his former name was Dhanishta. This gopi Dhanishta always engaged in preparing foods for Krishna. Tahar Bhagini Damayanti Prabhur Priyadashi Prabhur Bhug Samagri Je Kare Baramashi. Raghav Pandit's sister Damayanti was the dear maid servant of the Lord. She always collected various ingredients with which to cook for Lord Chaitanya. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya in the Gaura Ganadhish Deepika 167, it is mentioned Gunomala Braje Yashid Damayanti Tatat Swaha. The gopi named Gunomala appeared as Raghav Pandit's sister Damayanti. On the East Bengal railway line, beginning from the Shialda station in Calcutta, there is a station named Shodhpur, which is not very far from Calcutta. Within 1 mile of this station, toward the western side of the Ganges, a village known as Panihati, in which the residential quarters of Raghav Pandit still exist. When Raghav Pandit's tomb in a kripar on a concrete platform, there is also Madan Mohan, the deity, in a broken down simple temple nearby. This temple is managed by a local zamindar of the name Sri Shibachandra Rai Chaudhary. The Makaradhvaj Kar was also an inhabitant of Panihati. So Panihati अभी सब जानते हैं, बहुत फेमस प्लेस है जहाँ पर नित्यानंद प्रभु रघुनाथ दास गोस्वामी को दंड आशीर्वाद दिया. दंड महोत्सव नाम से जो फेस्टिवल होता है, जो feast कहलाते हैं सबका, दही चीरा फेस्टिवल. So the same place दही चीरा festival happened. Nityananda Prabhu blessed Raghunath Das Goswami, and from that place, half kilometer away, it is Raghav Pandit's house is still there. সেসব সামগ্রী যত জালিতে বরিয়া রাঘব লইয়া যান গোপত করিয়া. The foods Damayanti cooked for Lord Chaitanya when he was at Puri were carried in bags by her brother Raghav without the knowledge of others. तो महाप्रभु संन्यास लेने के बाद जो पुरी में शिफ्ट हो गए थे, तब भी राघव पंडित थैली में भरकर प्रसाद लेके जाया करते थे. दमयंती माताजी कुकिंग करके देती थी. 12 मास तहा प्रभु करें अंगीकार राघवेर जाली बोले प्रसिद्धि जहार. So the Lord accepted these foods throughout the entire year. Bapre. Those bags are still celebrated at Raghaver Jali, the bags of Raghav Pandit. शेषब सामग्री आगे करीब विस्तार जहार श्रवणे भक्तेर बहे अश्रुदार. I shall describe the contents of the bags of Raghav Pandit later in this book. Hearing this narration, devotees generally cry and tears glide down from their eyes. A vivid description of this Raghaver Jali to be found in the chapter 10 of Anta Lila, performed portion of Sri Chaitanya Caritamrita. सम चैतन्य चरितामृत के अंत्य लीला में जाके राघवेर जाली के बारे में डिटेल सुनेंगे, डिटेल पढ़ेंगे. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also explaining that I will tell you later the Antya Leela about Raghaver Jali. And ये Raghaver Jali सुन के भक्तों लोग रो पड़ते हैं. तो this is also mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. प्रभुर अत्यंत प्रिय पंडित गंगादास जहार स्मरणे हाय सर्ववंदनाश. So Pandit Gangadhar was the 8th dear branch of the tree of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One who remembers his activities attains freedom from all bondage. Chaitanya Parshad Sri Acharya Purandar Pita Kari Jare Bole Gauranga Sundar. Sri Acharya Purandar, the 9th branch, was a constant associate of Chaitanya's. The Lord accepted him as his father. It is described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that whenever Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the house of Raghav Pandit, he also visited Purandar Acharya immediately upon receiving an invitation. Purandar Acharya is to be considered the most fortunate because the Lord used to greet him by addressing him as his father and embracing him in great love. Damodar Pandit Shaka Premete Prachanda Prabhu Rupore Jeho Kailavakadanda. Damodar Pandit, the 10th branches of the Chaitanya tree, was so elevated in love of Chaitanya that he once unhesitantly chastised the Lord with strong words. Danda katha kahibo age vistar kariya, dande tushta prabhu tare pataila na diya. Later in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I shall describe the incident of chastisement in detail. The Lord, being very much satisfied by these chastisements, sent Damodar Pandit to Navadvip. Damodar Pandit, who was formerly known as Shaiva in Brajdam, used to carry messages from Lord Chaitanya to Sachimata. And during the Ratha Yatra festival, he carried messages from Sachimata to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How fortunate he was the messenger of Mahaprabhu Swayam. Tahar Anuj Shaka Sankar Pandit Prabhupada Padan Jar Nama Bibid. The 11th branch, the younger brother of Damodar Pandit, was known as Sankar Pandit. He was elevated as the shows of the Lord. Shadashi Pandit Jar Prabhupadeyash Pratame Nitvanandir Jar Garevash. Sadasi Pandit, the 12th branch, was always eager to serve the lotus feet of Lord. It was his good fortune that when Lord Nityananda came to Navadvip, he resided at his house. It is also mentioned in the Chaitanya Bhagavat Antya Khanda, chapter 9. The Shadashi Pandit was a pure devotee and that Nityananda Prabhu resided at his house. Sri Nishinga Upashak Pradyumna Brahmachari Prabhu Tar Nam Kaila Nishinghananda Kari. The 13th branch was Pradyumna Brahmachari. Since he was the worshipper of Lord Nrsimhadev, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu changed his name to Nishingananda Brahmachari. So Pradyumna Brahmachari is described in the Antya Lila, second chapter, Sri Chaitanya Caritamrita. He was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya who changed his name to Nishingananda. While coming from the house of Raghab Pandit at Panihati to the house of Shivananda, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the heart of Nishingananda Brahmachari. To acknowledge this, Nishingananda Brahmachari used to accept as eatable the food of three deities, namely Jagannath, Nishingananda, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is stated in the Chaitanya Caritamrita Antya Lila, second chapter, verse 48 through 78. Upon receiving information that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was proceeding toward Vrindavan from Kulia, Nishingananda absorbed himself in meditation and by his mental activities began constructing a very nice road from Kulia to Vrindavan. All of a sudden, however, he broke his meditation and told the other devotees that this time Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not go to Vrindavan but would travel only as far as the place known as Kanai Natshala. This is described in Madhya Lila, chapter 1, verse 155 through 162. The Gaura Ganadhash Deepika says, Aveshascha Tatadgyena Misre Pradyumna Samjake. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu changed the name of Pradyumna Mishra and Pradyumna Brahmachari to Nishingananda Brahmachari, for in his heart Lord Nishingananda was manifest. It is said that Lord Nishingananda used to talk with him directly. नारायण पंडित एक बड़ई उदार चैतन्य चरण बिनु नहीं जाने यार. Narayan Pandit, the 14th branch, a great and liberal devotee, did not know any shelter but Chaitanya's feet. श्रीमान पंडित शाखा प्रभु निज वृत्त देवटी दरेन जबे प्रभु करें नृत्य. शुक्लांबर ब्रह्मचारी बड़ भाग्यवान जा रंग मागी काढ़ी खाइला भगवान. So the 16th branch Shuklambar Brahmachari was very fortunate because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu jokingly or seriously begged food from him or sometimes snatched it from him forcibly and ate it. The Shuklambar Brahmachari. So it is stated that Shuklambar Brahmachari, an inhabitant of Navadvip, was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first companion in the Sankirtan movement. When Lord Chaitanya returned from Gaya after initiation, he stayed with Shuklambar Brahmachari because he wanted to hear from these devotee about the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Shuklambar Brahmachari collected alms of rice from the inhabitants of Navadvip, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took pleasure in eating the rice that he cooked. It is said that Shuklambar Brahmachari was one of the wives of the Yagnik Brahmanas during the time of Lord Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. Lord Krishna begged food from the wives of the Yagnik Brahmanas, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed a similar pastime by begging rice from Shuklambar Brahmachari. Nandan Acharya Shaka Jagate Vidit Lokai Yadui Prabhu Jar Gare Sthit. So Nandan Acharya, the 17th branch of the Chaitanya tree, is celebrated within the world because the two Prabhus, Chaitanya and Nityananda, sometimes hide in his house. Sri Mikunda Datta Shaka Prabhur Shamadhyai Jahar Kirtane Nache Chaitanya Goshai. Mukunda Datta, a close friend of Chaitanya's, was another branch of the Chaitanya tree. Lord Chaitanya danced while he sang. Sri Mukunda Datta was born in Chittagang district in the village of Chanhara, which is under the jurisdiction of the police station named Patia. The village is situated 10 crores or about 20 miles from the house of Pandarik Vidyanidhi. In the Gaur Ganadhash Deepika, it is said, Brajastito Gayako Yau Madhukanta Madhubrato Mukunda Vasudevauto Datto Gauranga Gayakau. In Braj, there were two very nice singers named Madhukanta and Madhubrata. They appeared in Chaitanya Lila as Mukunda and Vasudev Datta, vivid singers in the society of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Lord Chaitanya was a student, Mukunda Datta was his class friend. and they frequently engaged in the logical arguments. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would fight with Mukunda Datta using tricks of logic. This is described in Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda, chapter 11 and 12. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned from Gaya, Mukunda Datta gave him pleasure by reciting verses from Srimad Bhagavatam about Krishna Lila. It was by his endeavor that Gadadhar Pandit Goswami became a disciple of Pundarik Vidyanidhi, as stated in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Khanda, chapter 7. When Mukundadatta sang in the courtyard of Srivash Pandit, Srivash Prabhu Mahaprabhu danced with his singing. And when Lord Chaitanya for 21 hours exhibited an ecstatic manifestation known as Shatapahariya, Mukundadatta inaugurated the function by singing. वासुदेव दत्त प्रभुर वृत्त महाशय सहस्र मुखे जार गुण कही लेना है. Vasudev Datta, the 19th branch of the Sri Chaitanya tree, was a great personality and a most confidential devotee of the Lord. One could not describe his qualities even with thousands of mouths. So, Srila Prabhupada given a purport here. Vasudev Datta, the brother of Mukunda Datta, was also a resident of Chattagram. In the Chaitanya Bhagavad, it is said, Yar stane Krishna hai, apane vikray. Vasudev Datta was such a powerful devotee that Krishna was purchased by him. And Vasudev Datta stayed at Srivash Pandit's house. And in the Chaitanya Bhagavad, it is described that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so pleased with Vasudev Datta and so affectionate toward him that he used to say, I am only Vasudev Datta's man. My body is only meant to please Vasudev Datta. And he can sell many anywhere. Thrice he vowed that this was a fact and that no one should disbelieve these statements. All my dear devotees, he said, I tell you the truth. My body is especially meant for Vasudev Datta. Vasudev Datta initiated Sri Jadunandan Acharya, the spiritual master of Raghunath Das, who later became Raghunath Das Goswami. This will be found in the Chaitanya Caritamrita Antya Lila 6th chapter, verse 161. Vasudev Datta spent money very liberally. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Shivananda Shan to become his Sharakhela or secretary in order to control his extravagant expenses. So Mahaprabhu guide Grihasthas also how should expense the money. Vasudev Datta was so kind to living entities, that he wanted to take all their sinful reactions so that they might be delivered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is described in the 15th chapter of the Chaitanya Caritamrita Madhya Lila, verse 159 through 180. Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in Anubhashya, there is a railway station named Purvastali near the Navadvip railway station and about 1 mile away in a village known as Mamagachi, which is the birthplace of Vrindavan Das Thakur. There is presently a temple of Madan Gopal that was established by Vasudev Datta. The Gaudiya Math devotees have now taken charge of this temple and the Seva Puja is going on very nicely. Every year, all the pilgrims on the Navadvip Parikrama visit Mamagachi since Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur inaugurated the Navadvip Parikrama function. The temple has been very well managed. Jagate jate ko jeep tar paplaya. Narak bunjite chahe jeep chadaiya. Srila Vasudev Datta Thakur wanted to suffer for the sinful activities of all the people of the world so that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu might deliver them. Jagate jatake jeep tar paap laya. Narak bunjite chahe jeep chadaiya. So Vasudev Datta रिक्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं महाप्रभु को कि संसार में जितने सारे जीव है, जितने सारे मनुष्य है, एटलीस्ट सबका, सिर्फ मनुष्य नहीं है बट मनुष्य को स्पेसिफिकली बता रहा है कि संसार के पूरे लिविंग एंटिटीज जितने सारे जीव है सबका पाप मुझे दे दो और सबको उद्धार कर दे. महाप्रभु को रिक्वेस्ट कर, कितने बड़े भक्त हैं. हरिदास ठाकुर शाहकार अद्भुत चरित 3 लख तेह नाम तेह लयन अपतित. The 20th branch of the Chaitanya tree was Haridas Thakur. His character was wonderful. He used to chant the holy name of Krishna 3 crores times in a day without fail. 3 lakhs names. 3 lakhs names in a wonder without fail. Certainly, the chanting of 3 lakhs holy name of the Lord Chaitanya is wonderful. No ordinary person can chant so many names, nor should one artificially initiate Haridas Thakur's behavior. It is essential, however, that everyone fulfill a specific vow to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Therefore, we have prescribed in our society that all our students must chant at least 16 rounds daily. Such chanting must be offenseless in order to be high quality. Mechanical chanting is not as powerful as Chaitanya, as chanting of the holy name without offenses. It is stated in the Chaitanya Bhagavad Adi Khanda, chapter 2, that Haridas Thakur was born in a village known as Bhudan, but after some time came to live on the bank of the Ganges at Pulia near Shantipur. From the description of his chastisement by a Muslim magistrate, which is found in the 17th chapter of Adikanda of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, we can understand how humble and meek Haridas Thakur was and how he achieved the causeless mercy of the Lord. In the dramas performed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Haridas Thakur played the part of a police chief. While chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in Banapul, he was personally tested by the herself, Maya Devi herself, sorry. Haridas Thakur's passing away is described in the Ante Lila, Sri Chaitanya Caritamrita, 11th chapter. It is not definitely certain whether Sri Haridas Thakur appeared in the village named Bhudan, that is in the district of Khulna. Formerly, this village was within a district of 24 Parganas within the Shatkira division. তাহার অনন্ত গুণ কহি দিগ্মাত্ম আচার্য গোসাই যারে বুঞ্জায় শ্রাদ্ধ পাত্র. So there was no end to the transcendental qualities of Haridas Thakur. Here I mentioned but a fraction of his qualities. He was so exalted that Advaita Goswami, when performing the Shraddha ceremony of his father, offered him the first plate. Prahlad Shaman jar guner taranga Javan Tadane Avatar Nahiko Bru Tanga. The waves of his good qualities were like those of Prahlad Maharaj. He did not even slightly raise an eyebrow when persecuted by the Muslim ruler. Teho Siddhi Paile Tar Deholaya Kole Nachilo Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Mahakutuhale. After the passing away of Haridas Thakur, Lord Chaitanya himself took his body on his lap and danced with it in great ecstasy. Jar Lila Burni Achen Brindavana Das Jeva Avashishto Age Kariba Prakash. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has vividly described the pastimes of Haridas Thakur in his Chaitanya Bhagavat. Whatever has remained undescribed, I shall try to explain later in this book. तो बाद में बताएंगे महाप्रभु या कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी कुछ अगर वृंदावन दास ठाकुर के द्वारा लिखा है और वो रह गया तो उसको कवर करेंगे. तार उपशाखा जतो कुलीन ग्रामीजन सत्यराज आदितार कृपार वाजन. One sub-branch of Haridas Thakur consisted of the resident of Kulingram. The most important among them was Satyaraj Khan or Satyaraj Vasu, who was a recipient of all the mercy of Haridas Thakur. Satyaraj Khan was the son of Gunaraj Khan and the father of Ramananda Vasu. Haridas Thakur lived for some time during the Chaturmasya period in the village named Kulingram, where he chanted the holy name, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and distributed his mercy to the descendants of Vasu family. Satyaraj Khan was allotted this service of supplying silk ropes for Jagannath deity during the Rath Yatra festival. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's answer to his inquiries about the duty of householders devotees are vividly described in the Madhya Lila, chapter 15 or 16. The village of Kulingram is situated 2 miles from the railway station named Jogram on the New Code line from Howrah to Burdwan. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very highly praised the people of Kulingram, and he stated that even a dog of Kulingram was very dear to him. So we should visit Kulingram. Sri Murari Gupta Shaka Premier Vandar Prabhur Hriday Drave Shuni Dainajar. Murari Gupta, the 21st branch of the tree of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was a storehouse of love of Godhead. His great humility and meekness melted the heart of Chaitanya. Sri Murari Gupta wrote a book called Sri Chaitanya Caritamrita. He belonged to a Vaidya physician family of Sri Hatta, the paternal home of Lord Chaitanya, and later became a resident of Navadvip. He was among the elders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya exhibited his Baraha form in the house of Murari Gupta as described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Khanda, third chapter. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his Mahaprakash form, he appeared before Murari Gupta as Lord Ramachandra. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu were sitting together in the house of Srivas Thakur, Murari Gupta first offered his respects to Lord Chaitanya and then to Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu, however, was older than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and therefore Lord Chaitanya remarked that Murari Gupta has violated social etiquette, for he should have first shown respect to Nityananda Prabhu and then to him. In this way, by the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Murari Gupta was informed about the position of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, and the next day he offered obeisances first to Nityananda and then to Chaitanya. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave chewed pan or vittle nut to Murari Gupta. Once Shivananda Sen offered food to Lord Chaitanya that had been cooked with excessive ghee. And the next day, the Lord became sick and went to Murari Gupta for treatment. Lord Chaitanya accepted some water from the water pot of Murari Gupta, and thus he was cured. The natural remedy of the indigestion is to drink a little water. Oh. And since Murari Gupta was a physician, he gave the Lord some drinking water and cured him. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the house of Srivas Thakur in his Chaturbuj Murti, Murari Gupta became his carrier in the form of Garuda. In these pastimes of ecstasy of Lord and got up on his back, it was the desire of Murari Gupta to leave his body before the disappearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But the Lord made being to do so. This is described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Khanda chapter 20, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 1. They appeared in ecstasy as the Baraha Murti. Murari Gupta offered him prayers. He was a great devotee of Lord Ramachandra, and his staunch devotion is vividly described in the Chaitanya Caritamrita Madhya Lila, 15th chapter, verse 137 through 157. प्रतिग्रह ना करे नालय कारदान आत्मवृत्ति करी करे कुटुंब वरण. Sri Murari Gupta never accepted charity from friends, nor did he accept money from anyone. He practiced as a physician and maintained his family with the earnings. It should be noted that a grihastha must not make his livelihood by begging from anyone. It's very important. Every householder of the higher caste should engage himself in his own occupational duty as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, or Vaishya. But he should not engage in the service of others, for this is the duty of Shudra. One should simply accept whatever he earns by his own profession. The engagement of a Brahmana are Yajan, Jajan, Patan, Patan, Dan, Pratigraha. A Brahmana should be a worshipper of Vishnu, and he should also instruct others how to worship him. A Kshatriya can become a landholder and earn his livelihood by levying taxes or collecting rent from tenants. A Vaishya can accept agriculture or general trade as an occupational duty. Since Murari Gupta was born in a physician's family, Vaishyanam Vamsha. He practiced as a physician, and with whatever income he earned, he maintained his family. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, everyone should try to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the execution of his occupational duty. That is the perfection of life. This system is called Daivi Varnasrama. Murari Gupta was an ideal Grihastha, for he was a great devotee of Lord Ramachandra and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By practicing as a physician, he maintained his family and at the same time satisfied Lord Chaitanya to the best of his ability. This is the ideal of householder life. So we'll stop here and we will be continuing from tomorrow onwards from the verse of 51. So thank you whoever participates in this daily Chaitanya Caritamrita reading session. Actually, I am reading my own self for my own purification, but I am doing it stream because of saving it and to keep consistency, keep maintenance, my own responsibility. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.